Okay, hope you guys are coming over. Come on over. I knew something was going to happen tonight, but it's okay. It's okay. Hey, thank you guys so much for following me over here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. I knew something was going to happen, but it's all right. It is all right. Hey, my mentor is in here. God bless you, man of God. Good to see you. Rodney Johnson. We're going to do this all over again. So, we're going to do the church announcements again, and then we're going to get started. So well, you really didn't miss anything because I was on the wrong IG page. I was on my personal IG page, but thank God, my mentee said, hey, you're on the wrong page. So everybody's coming over here now, and I'm grateful. Praise the Lord. All right, so let me get Ken J Galaxy on here. And my son is in the room, Cam Neely. Thank you, darling. Good to see you, Regina. So, hey, we're going to try this again. That was such good energy, so we got to keep that up. All right? We got to keep that up. So, let me start by saying what I'm wearing today is a t-shirt by Rodney John. Follow him on Instagram. I am Rodney John. He is a friend and associate from Philadelphia who is now currently a celebrity makeup artist based in LA, and he does excellent work. Excellent work. Certified celebrity makeup artist. And his brand MADE stands for Making Attainable Differences Every Day. I stand by this. I love the brand. He has hats, fitted hats. I have a hat, and this is a t-shirt. So please follow him on Instagram and check him out and support his business as I do. Katia, is that Katia? Oh, hey Tia. Nene, Naomi, Shavray, Rodney John is in the room. My mentor Donnell Nolan. Regina, Made by Music, Cam Neely, Day 76, Adrian Moore. This Reverend is taking me out of here. We can talk about that later because that's taking me out of here. Mita, the real Davon Rice, is in here. The Cardinal, Casey Wood, Edward Ballard. Thank you for joining. Nene, it's so good to see you. I hope you watched that live the other day about songwriting and publishing. Lots of good stuff in there. Okay, so let's get back. Love you, Rodney. Absolutely. So I told you what I'm wearing, and the purpose of this is to bring you all into the conversations that I have, the in-depth conversations that I have with my colleagues who are in other disciplines, sometimes the same, but other disciplines this time. And I love the fashion world. It's so intriguing to me, and just to their work ethic to me is amazing. So I'm gonna say here what I said over there. I tend to think that singers and musicians, nope, singers, I'll change it now, are the laziest of the disciplines because we carry our instruments around with us. It's inside of us. It's who we are. And some of us will study and practice, but for the most part, we kind of just get up and just do what we do. But the fashion world is intriguing to me because it just, to me, it seems like they just work really hard. Blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of dedication to make the world look good and to make everything just kind of come together aesthetically. So tonight, I'm talking to my friend of over 30 years. We're going to keep it moving from that. We're not going to do that again. Ken J Galaxy. I want everybody to follow him on Instagram. Ken J Galaxy, not I am. It's Ken Galaxy. Kenj Galaxy on Instagram. Be sure to follow him. And I describe him as a fashion editor and curator. I used to call him a stylist until one day I said that he looked at me kind of funny and I said. I won't say that again because apparently that's not the right title. So, okay. So I've deemed him fashion editor because he has actually functioned as a fashion editor and a curator because he puts things together. So we're going to talk tonight, and we have some notes to keep us on course. As I stated before, our conversations personally can go real left, but we just going to go slightly over to the side. We're not going to make no hard left turns. We just going to make little glides as we go. So the people that I talk about, that I like to study in the fashion world, Anna Wintour is a big deal to me. Like, I love her, even though she's been deemed very tough person to work with in the fashion world. I just think she just gets to the point, and it's just, it is what it is as far as I'm concerned. Andre Leon Talley, who is like that favorite uncle. Mm-hmm. He's like that favorite uncle that kind of just makes it plain, and it's no fluff. One thing that he says in September issue is the world is starved of beauty. It need beauty. We need beauty.
Beauty.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I love that. It just means so much. Dapper Dan, if you all haven't had a chance to watch Dapper Dan's Breakfast Club interview, it was really, really insightful and really good. And I have his book that I'm still trying to get through reading. This Ricola is stuck under my tongue. Hold on.
Wow.
Because it's worrying me. You try moving around, it's worrying me. So I got now. And there are several other people that I've learned about, really from my friend Kennard Jackson, just mentioning them and talking about them. You're gonna kill me for messing this man's name up. I can't think of it, but he passed away. Karl Lagerfeld.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, like his life was just so interesting. So I study them just to learn, about the fashion world. So, Kennard, jump in here because I keep talking.
No, you're good.
Okay.
So yeah, as you mentioned, I don't prefer to go by the name fashion stylist because it's so limiting. And one thing as a creative, I like to challenge everyone to think abroad. And when you think just stylist, you think of just one entity of that facet of art or that genre of art. And when you think curator, it's such a broader title because you are creating. Um, and so that's why I prefer to go by curator or style enthusiast. Um,
Style enthusiast.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, that's me. But enough about me. Um, yeah, so the fashion industry is one of the things that Leslie and I discussed is very important because the industry is responsible for the appearance, and I'll use
Hmm.
that word. Um, the industry is responsible for the appearance, and what happens is we don't take our appearance serious enough. Um, Honestly, we are a walking resume. Um, I am one who has studied music along with Leslie. We'll leave that there.
He's a singer, y'all.
But being in, um, and I want to stop saying, being in the fashion industry as well as coming from the music aspect, appearance is very important. And we don't realize that when we walk, whenever we enter a room, our appearance is what acts as a light. That is the
Hmm.
one entity that attracts people to us. So, based on how you look, people will either be entertained by you or they'll engage you, which is two words that Leslie and I were recently discussing. So, I guess this is the segue into those two things.
Yes, we can move there. I'll tell my story later. We can move there.
Okay. So, though your appearance is something that's very important because one of the things that I said,
Tell Tiffany to stop singing.
pardon me 1 second.
Y'all, this is what happens. What happens? who is an amazing singer. He knows that both of us are on live together. Why he's doing this, we have no idea. Oh God. While we're waiting for Kennard to come back, I'm gonna tell y'all this quickly. Okay.
I had to turn the walking B-box off.
Turn it off. Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm just gonna tell a story, but I wait. Go ahead.
So I was talking about appearance. Whenever you enter a room, people that don't know you, whenever you walk into your place of employment, sorry, I did a slight.
I get it.
Whenever you walk in a room, your appearance is what acts as a light, and it attracts people at that moment when they see who you are and what you are based on how you're adorned. Your appearance will act as a light. That light at that moment, your appearance, will then either engage them or it will entertain them.
So let me put a pin in this right here. I'm gonna let you catch your breath, and I'm gonna tell this story.
Thank you.
So one thing that Kennard has been assisting me with over time is showing me how to present myself whenever I'm in settings. It always matters. I was going to say when it matters, but it always matters because I am my brand 24 hours a day. Even when I'm singing with other groups, I'm still my brand, as well as a reflection of what is happening at the moment every time. So for us plus size girls, foundation is extremely important for us because you want to be smoothed out. And one thing that I heard the other day on a live with Tamil Jonathan and Ted Wynn, when they were talking about the group purpose and how whenever you saw us, we always look so polished. And me being one of the larger ladies on the group, it was always part of my arsenal to have foundation. And I'm talking about body foundation, good snatch you up in here and lift you up and hold you foundation so you can look sleek and poised and posh was the word that Ted Wynn used. I like that word. I think I'm going to make a t-shirt that says posh. Well, maybe brand infringement, but hopefully not. But, just to look good. And Kennard was one of those people. And you have to have people in your life that care enough about you to say the things that will help further you along, not to tear you down or diminish, or lower your self-esteem or anything like that, but just to help you. And also, one of the other people, when I first started doing television, when I started doing the Bobby Jones taping, Vicki Johnson said to me, hey, you should look into this garment called, what was it called? The Body Magic. And I was like, oh, I've been in a girdle since I was 10. So I'm used to foundation. She said, well, when you go on television, she said, there's a different presence that you need to have, and this will help get you to that. And that was one of the art items that I invested in. But you are, to segue back, you are your brand when you go anywhere. So when you step into a room, people should take notice of who you are. That's something I had to learn because I like to get in the room and be invisible.
Yeah, and that's something, and I'm glad you said that because that's something that we forget as artists, as creatives. We are our own. We're a walking billboard. Whenever you make the introduction to anyone or to any body of people that you are, whatever genre of art you operate in, whenever you make that declaration that you are an artist at all times. And it's very important that we be representation of our brand, whether we're going to the grocery store, whether we're going to work, church, whether we're going to an audition, performance, it doesn't matter. Even in transition from one destination to another, it is very important that we always represent our brand, especially now as an age that we're in. These can be our worst enemies. Because that one moment when you feel like you won't run into anyone that you never know who sees you. and you never know who's taking pictures, and those pictures travel at the speed of light. With that in mind, you just always want to be ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so foundational pieces is something that I have learned, men and women. Foundational pieces are very important. We, again, are walking advertisements of our brand. Whenever you're walking around and you're very lackadaisical and you're unpolished, that is a resemblance of your brand. And people see it as so. So when you take your brand serious and you want everyone else to take your brand serious, you have to present yourself as an individual who is always readily available to assist in any time of the day. It does not matter whether it be morning, noon, or night. You never know. You know, for singers, you never know when there's a need for a background vocalist. You never know. You know, as a stylist or even as a designer, you never know. Whenever you have that moment in time with a client, you don't know who that one person is connected to. There's always a connector. And so whenever, it's like a resume. Whenever you submit your resume, there's never just one person viewing your resume. There's it goes through a series of hands. So you want to make sure that you yourself, whether it be I Breathe or Ken Galaxy, you always are representation, positive representation of that brand. We can be negative representations of our brand, not just in our conversation, but in our appearance.
Yeah. One thing I do is if there's something going on, I've learned that when there's a big concert or a big event or a gathering or something, if I don't feel like being on, I won't go. If I don't feel like putting on makeup, I don't go. If I don't feel like really trusting up, like honestly, I've been in the house all day because I telework, but I am fully dressed right now. Like I'm fully dressed, did my makeup, put my earrings on, you know, all sponge my hair, all that because I'm out. If I did not feel like that, I don't go. Because that one moment you get caught slipping can live with you for eternity. And you don't
Yeah,
want
your
that.
now moment will definitely impact your next moment. It will
Your
impact.
now moment will impact your next moment. See, this is the kind of stuff he says these things in conversation, and it's regular to him. And I'd be like, oh wow. And be like thinking about it for like 3 days and stuff like that. Your now moment, finish it, can lead to your next moment.
It will impact. It will impact
It
your next
will
moment.
impact your next moment. So there's something in the BGV world that is said every time that you get up to perform with an artist that you're auditioning for an artist that's in the audience. Now, I get it. I don't like necessarily what happens when people adopt that because then every time it's a show, instead of just being themselves, see how I put that in it? Instead of just being themselves. But in theory, it's connected to what you're saying. It's like, you know, somebody will see you somewhere, see you doing something. People know me from Jonathan Nelson and Purpose. So and now they know me as I Breathe Melody, as Leslie Neely. If I'm somewhere and I don't look like any of those things, I could miss something. I really could miss something.
This is true.
Yeah.
Because you know, the person who's looking to hire you, who may have heard of your brand but have never seen you, may be in the audience that day when you're coming in, and oh, I just feel like, you know, I don't feel like it today, so I'm just gonna go and look like anything. It matters. Trust you me, it matters. And I never forget, I was going for an interview for my present employer, and I was in the parking lot, and it really doesn't, this story doesn't have anything to do with appearance, but it has everything to do with being aware of the moment that you're in and being there before you get there. Because I was thinking of what I was going to obtain. And at that moment when I was going, you know, you never know who you're going to pass. And long story short, there was a lady who was there in the parking lot, and I went to open the door for her. She was very rude, very rude. And with her being rude,
Y'all get
what
to see my backdrop there. Sorry, go ahead.
what happened at that moment, I could have easily taken that moment to respond to her negatively. I could have matched her energy and, you know, gone there with her. Instead, I just smiled and held the door for her. She went in.
Hmm.
That very next moment when I went in to interview for that job, for my position, who was the middle person on the panel?
The lady.
She
Wow.
also was the person because when I met with her, my parents and everything was together. When I left from the interview, I got a phone call while en route from the interview home, offering me the position, and she was the person who spoke very highly of me.
Wow.
Same with people, you know, when we're going into, let's just use background vocalists. When we're going into some of these settings, it is important again, appearance, because they see you first before they hear you.
Yes.
Once they see you, if you're not all together,
Hmm.
they don't feel like you're taking this moment serious and you're
Right.
wasting their time.
Hmm.
So of course, those people who see you first, the frontline people, are the people who will vouch for you.
Hmm.
If I see that you're coming in, you're lackadaisical, you know, you're coming in and you're in very distressed attire, or you're coming in and everything is just very frumpy and you just look discombobulated, what can I say positive about you at that moment?
Right. Right.
You know, and
Hmm.
sometimes we have to. It's a great thing to have a mirror. Look in the mirror.
Hmm.
If you saw someone else walking in the room looking as you do, how would you feel?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes those mirror situations,
They'll tell you what some of your friends won't.
they will be very honest with you, and then you will have to make some decisions about your life
But and you
at
know,
that
one thing
point.
I love about myself, and I can be my worst critic. I can. When we get into our space, some of us, I'll be the one to throw myself out there, and we enjoy that right now moment. You know, overeating, indulging in things that we know we really shouldn't have because
Hmm.
you know we really want it,
Hmm.
but we're not taking into consideration the next moment.
Right.
What happens after you overindulge
Hmm.
and you really aren't considering your next moment? You're just
Hmm.
thinking about the right now.
Right.
So we overindulge, we eat, and then when you go put on your favorite pair of jeans and they don't fit, or for some, you know, some you go and you walk around in your jeans and you look later and you've chafed and your jeans are now
Yeah, that style
stretched
thing is
really.
a humble your whole life.
Yeah, you know, those things, they make you and honestly, be aware of your shape.
Hmm.
Embrace. Listen, you got yourself there. You can get yourself out of there,
Right.
but embrace it and be aware of who you are. This is who
Hmm.
you are. If
Hmm.
you're fluffy, you know, if that's what you call yourself. If you're fluffy, if you know you're obese, if you're fat, you know, whatever, you know, adjective you use to describe your right now being,
Hmm.
be okay with that.
Even thin people go through that too. Because some people
Absolutely.
feel like they're too small or they want to be more full of here, and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, all these girls walking around with
It's not
these
just
bodies.
girls.
Okay, all these people walking around with these bodies by Dr. Miami, they're going to have some balance issues later. Later. Because they're not supposed to be heavy in one part and little in the other part. How are you going to hold it up? But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, it matters.
But you have to, I honestly believe you have to embrace who you are. And you are one of those people that has helped me to embrace who I am, even where I am now, and the journey that you know intimately, the journey that I'm on right now, with being comfortable with where I am right now and learning how to present my best self, no matter where I am or what stage that I am. So that's good. So we used the words engagement versus entertainment.
Mhm.
So I'm not. That's more of your thought process. I understand it, but I can't articulate it as well as you can articulate that.
I mean, it's really simple. When you think of what entertainment is and when you think of engagement, um, it's really simple. And it's something that I've been paying attention to lately. That some of us, we tend to do things for a response. It's almost like in a conversation. A lot of people don't engage people in conversations. They kind of just listen for entertainment pleasures. And most of the time they listen to respond versus listening to understand. And that would be my example of entertaining versus engaging. When we engage people in our conversations, sometimes we're listening for the intent versus the impact of it. Because just like a conversation that we're having now, some people may look at it as, oh, they're just doing it because, oh, we need something to do because of, the pandemic. And,
We got other things to do, just so y'all know, okay?
Trust
there are other
me.
things we could be doing, okay?
Several. But I just think that we should, and my pastor, Dr. Kevin Daniels, I will say this is one thing that he has shared with us, that one thing that we don't listen to one another's story. We're quick to we're quick to judge a situation, and we're quick to assume, but when it's time to listen, we're not listening. Or we don't present a platform where people can listen,
right,
or will listen.
Right.
So we're okay with the fact that we think this is who you are. We think this is what you do. And so when we see you, we entertain you based on what we think versus what we know. And you only know based on engagement. Sometimes the entertainment thing is something that it's only going to pleasure you for that moment. But when you engage a person, that's when the impact takes place, and it goes way longer. And it's something that, honestly, it's almost like a stamp. You hear it again later. It comes back whenever it jars your. It's almost like trauma. It's one of those things, but it's a good trauma. It actually plugs in so that whenever another moment comes, you remember that thing.
Right.
Only because you were not looking to be entertained, you were looking to engage and be able to extract those things from that individual or that setting that you're in.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people that I don't like to waste my time. I mean, I'll waste my time on what I want to waste my time on. To say it that way. Engagement with people is not a time waster for me. It has to have purpose. It has to be intentional. So if I take the time to sit and talk with you and listen to you, because I'm a listener. I like to talk, but I'm a listener. I'm listening because I'm expecting you to say something, or I believe that you're going to say something that will have an impact on me. If I prejudge and I don't know what you're going to talk to me about, I may not engage. I may just entertain you for the sake of indulging you for a moment. But I don't like to waste time with things like that. And I'm just realizing within the last year or so that I am a critical thinker. And that's why the people call it petty, but it's not petty. I listen to the words that people say, and I try to understand the meaning of the words that people use. And culturally, sometimes we don't always say what we mean. We'll say a thing because that's how we feel. And then when a question is asked, well, no, I didn't mean that. I really meant this. I'm trying to learn how to be meaningful and intentional with my words when I say them. So words have meaning. So if you say something, I listen to what it means and I'm like, oh, okay. And if it's converse to what you're presenting to me, I may ask a question. Something like that. So I get it from that standpoint. Sometimes, especially in the music world, so they call it convention talk. I think they call it convention talk. When people say, yeah, man, we got to get together, we got to work. Yeah, okay, call me. Like convention talk. I don't really do that kind of thing. I would rather just say, hello, nice to meet you. Great to see you. Take care. Have a good day. Because that's what I really mean. That's me engaging you as opposed to me just entertaining you. Hey, man, how you doing? Good stuff. Yeah, hey.
And I'll say
That's
this.
exhausting for me.
It is. And honestly, the same thing happens in the fashion industry.
Really?
Yes. It really, honestly, I don't think it's no respect of art. I think it happens across the board, honestly.
Wow.
Because in the industry, they'll see you and they'll be like, "Oh, glad to see you." And when you walk away, who was that? What do they do? Do you know
Don't know
them?
you from right. Don't know you from a can of paint.
But the entertainment, they entertained you while in that moment.
So I prefer engagement because engagement is more fruitful to
Hmm.
me. If I can meet somebody and they can say something that can trigger my thinking and really stimulate my mind, that's amazing. As opposed to just you don't even really want to say anything to me right now, so just like keep going. Like that whole entertainment thing, I can't.
But
And
I, and
we do it because we have to sometimes, but
I'll jump and try to. I feel that it's going to curve a little. That is true, Rodney. Entertainment industry, period. In church, in school, it doesn't matter. This is true, and I'll dare to say this. I think sometimes people, and I'll use a word that some are familiar with. Some people are very shady in their engagement, or let's go back. They're shady in their entertainment with individuals, and I'll say this because sometimes these individuals are insecure
yes,
in who they are and
right,
what they are in possession of. And I'll put it out there that I tend to tell people when I have conversations with them, don't look at everyone as competition.
right,
Put them in a different category if you must categorize them.
right,
Look at them as your colleague, a constituent.
right.
Because when you look at someone as competition, because trust me, there's enough work out here for everyone to do what they
Everybody,
do
yes,
and be successful.
right,
But when your focus is to down someone else to bring yourself up, at that moment, what you do is you look for moments to either sabotage what the other person does or to just be shady and just say, you know what? I don't even know why she does that. She can't sing.
wow,
He's very pitchy. He's always flat. He ain't getting no gigs. And the same again, it happens in any industry, whether it be church, whether it be school, whether it be the fashion industry, whether it be the music industry. It happens everywhere, and I think it happens because of people's insecurities. When you
yeah,
are confident in who you are and what you possess, when you are in tune with what your purpose is, and when you're in tune with time, you
mm-hmm,
know exactly where your platform is,
right,
you know exactly what your niche is, and you're comfortable in being who you are no matter where you are. You should be
right,
able to operate in any setting
yeah.
and be okay with it.
One train of thought that I have is that we can be competitors, but not in competition with each other. And that's something that I personally had to adopt. And those who you've talked to me intimately, so you know this, I'll just generalize it. That growing into a lane where there are other people doing what you do, when you deal with transition, I was transitioning in life,
Mm-hmm.
moving from one phase of life to the next. But these kids was coming up, taking work that I felt like could have been mine. I had to grow in myself first and then understand everything ain't for me, and where I am in life, learning the types of things that I desire to do, the kind of work that I desire to do. That means I'm not going to get all the work that's out here. So, in the business sense, we are competitors because by design, we're in the same lane and we can compete for the same jobs if that's necessary. But I don't view people as my competition, especially if when we're not competing. If we were competing, then it would be by design of the word competition. But
But here,
outside of that, I don't live in a competitive space in my mind. I'm secure with who I am, and I had to grow to that. I really had to grow to that.
And here's an honest question that I had to ask myself when I came to that realization. Are you even equipped to compete with the people that you compete with?
Because if you're not, just go sit down somewhere.
Because a lot of times we don't, if we really did, and it's be ready for it. Have an honest moment with yourself and write down everything that you embody when it comes to that genre of art that you say that you are.
Right.
Because I do believe that words definitely they the tongue has power,
Yes. Yes.
and we do summons things.
Yes.
And we won't go in that direction, but
Right.
we definitely do summons things. Whether it be people, places, we summons it based on
Right.
our conversation. And I believe wholeheartedly in the law of attraction. And when we say certain things concerning others, especially when I believe as a faith believer, um, when we tend to project things on people,
Yes.
we end up carrying it and we end
Yes.
up wearing it
Right.
because we're projecting. Why talk about what they can't do? At that moment, can you impact them to be able to do it?
Right.
Because what I find a lot of artists, what we'll do, we'll take a moment and we'll kill a person quicker than we'll help a person. And
Right.
I'm not saying everyone, so let me not.
Yeah. That.
I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to pull their guns out,
Uh-huh.
but I do know that there are a lot of times in conversations you'll hear artists get in their cliques and their little circles, and they feel like we're from the upper echelon, and you guys are vagabonds, so we don't really fool with you. You
Right.
only did one gig, and honestly, you got that because that was your relative, or whatever.
That stuff.
But we'll take that moment and we'll down them and we'll shame them, but we'll never upbuild them. And that's something that
Right.
in our engaging, we learn where people are,
Yeah.
and we share with them where we are, and share with them how to get to where you are.
Right.
Because honestly, it's better to when we look into like legacy, our legacies are carried on based on where we plant our seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Our seeds are not intended for us to eat.
Mm.
Our gifts are not for us to enjoy.
Right.
So when you think about being a an artist in fashion, or someone in the music industry, your gift is for others. These things are each facet, whether it be music and or visual art, these are things that are therapeutic. They use them
Mm-hmm.
to provide therapy to others. So
Right.
if this is something that can be used to bring healing to someone,
Mm-hmm.
why utilize it to damage?
Right. Right.
Especially if you don't know how to build them back up.
Right. That was one of the things that with building and growing I Breathe Melody, because I'm a critical thinker, I'm always looking at something, I observe human behavior, and I have thoughts about the things that I see.
Hmm.
When I started having not necessarily negative thoughts, but being critical of what I was seeing. It wasn't even a critique at one point. It was critical. I'm going to be honest about that. When I started doing that, I had to check myself and say, Leslie, how can you turn this? Because in my heart, I want to help people. If I see somebody that's in a BGV situation and I see things that could be helped with them, in my heart, I really want to help them because if I notice it, it's because it's pulling on my heart.
Hmm.
Actually, if it's not pulling on my heart, I probably won't even see it. But
Hmm.
I had to figure out how to turn that to make it not just profitable for myself, but so I could really do what's in my heart, and that's to help people. So, and one of my fellow BGV said to me one time, she says, you can talk about the problem. It would help if you gave the solution as well.
Well, yeah, I definitely believe that whenever you're faced with or you're presenting a problem, you should always have a solution with it.
Yes, but a lot of people, when you're insecure, you only come with the problem. Even
Hmm.
if you know a solution, you don't want to give it because it's going to take away from you. So you think
Hmm.
it's going to take away from you. So introspect, a lot of creatives don't like to do because we're pulled on the outside for our being, giving our art tangibly, but you really have to do self work and do introspect to work on the things so that your art can be received at its maximum potential and most effective space. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you sometimes you got to ask the question: does every observation deserve a conversation?
I learned the hard way. I went from being quiet all the time. Bishop Robert Evans told me that I was strangely bashful. And if I was going to make it, which I was going to have to fix that part of me. So I went from being quiet to saying anything I felt like saying. And
Mm-hmm.
that didn't serve me too well either. That got me fired and in trouble a lot. So I had to find the balance in there to really weigh if this is even worth a conversation. I, because first of all, if it's not going to be received, what's the point? If it's not going to change the person, what's the point? Do I really care? If I don't, then what's the point? Just leave it. You know.
I'm laughing at these comments that are
Now,
coming.
see, you can see comments. I can't see no comments.
Yeah, well, I'll read the comments to you. Jahari just said, "No one can do what you do like you do it, but people don't get it. It's room for us all."
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah, it is. It's so many lanes to do stuff out here, and honestly, until I was made aware of that, and then I started researching because I read and I research a lot. I just didn't understand. I have a young lady who's helping me now to become a liaison for a voice clinic. It's money in that. Bringing an established corporation business, singers, you can make money doing that. I'm sure there are other things. There's music therapy, there's art therapy that is really, really entrenched in the medical world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to give new meaning to musical therapy, though. But anyway, right now, as it stands, your gift can be used in the medical profession to assist someone with rehabilitation. And, it's ways to still have impact and get your coin because,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. It's okay to make money
Impact.
doing these things. Yeah,
Impact is what's going to make the change.
yeah. And it makes you feel good. I feel good when I help people. If my gift is a segue to make impact to them, then so be it. I'm fine with that. All right, so let's get to the importance of mentoring. Do we want to talk about that?
Why not?
Okay. All right. I don't know how long we got. We gonna stay on here when this thing cut us off, but there's still people in the room, so we gonna keep on talking.
Hey, as long as we can share with one, hey, that's all that matters.
Yes. So I'm really big on mentoring, and I think that's the teacher in me. And because I'm always seeing something that could be helped, God gave me these eyes. This is who I am. And I'm thankful for the mentors that I have had, the ones who have mentored me hands-on and directly, or the ones who have mentored me from afar or from a distance. I'm really grateful to them because they really helped me grow and change my life. And how important is mentoring in the fashion industry? It's extremely important in the music industry, but we haven't gotten it yet. I think we're starting to get it, but we haven't really gotten it yet. So what is it? How important is it in the fashion industry?
I think it's just as important in any industry. I don't think it's just one industry that it's important. And I think it is imperative that we all have that one person or people that, first of all, let's go back. Mentors are not people that we deem our mentors. There must be a conversation with you and that person
Yes.
so that they know what you need to know exactly what it is that you are looking to get from a mentor?
So people who like I said, I have some people who mentor me from afar. And now, in my mind, actually, I've done that because I would consider Vicki Johnson a mentor for me. But she and I have conversations often.
Because they, when
Yeah.
people are aware that they are, or they're going to be held in a position, they know how to function as that.
Okay.
Just because you are engaging in conversation, like you and I, we're talking, and we share music in common, just because I feel like you're experienced and you have access into different areas, me deeming you my mentor without you and I having a conversation,
Right.
what benefit does that have for me, and what benefit
Right.
does it have for you?
Right.
You don't know what it is that you need to focus in on, because at that moment when you have a mentorship, there's a focal point,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you
Yep.
know what the target is, and you know exactly what area you need to sharpen, you know what area you need to extract, like you know how to gauge that individual and
Right.
how to put them on a certain path. Mentors are very important because we don't know it all.
Mhm.
We don't know it all, and your experience is not everyone else's experience. And I see that, we are we sometimes will wander around as lost individuals trying to find our way, and we're doing things as best we know how.
Mhm.
But there's another way of doing it. There's a
Right.
better way of doing it. And yes, Rodney, these individuals are people
I
who,
figured out
they
how to
hold
see
you
the
accountable.
comments. Yay.
You are definitely held accountable for what you say and do. And not just what you say and do, but just your practices, the practical side. Like, certain things that we do, and I'll just use the fashion industry for example. Being a stylist, everyone is so quick to jump into that lane and say what they are, and they have no work established. It comes more with just saying, okay, I can match this color with this color. Oh, I like mixing different prints. I'm a stylist. It comes, there's a little bit more to that than just
Mhm.
doing that. You have to be, aware of shapes and sizes. You have to be aware of contrast. You have to be aware of, you know, um, the importance of confidence,
Mhm.
being able to build one's confidence, to trust you.
Right.
You have to be equipped to be able to do. And honestly, what we think versus what we know,
Mhm.
we engage people and we're charging people all these astronomical prices based on what we think.
Mhm.
You have to do your own research. And I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, whenever they tell me that, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, do your research first.
Mhm.
Learn the art that
Right.
you think you are ready for.
Yeah. Yeah. When I started I Breathe Melody, I was a vocal contractor. Songwriter said, "You the vocal contractor, you figure that out." I never even heard the word, so I Googled it,
Hmm.
figured out what it was, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I am. So that's what I started doing. When I got the bug to really help people, I started and I completely ingested Motown and Berry Gordy. I read every book that was put out and talked about him. I watched every video on YouTube, watched the things that people said, the negative things, the good things. Follow all of the artists that ever came through Motown, not just the big hit makers, but everybody. The the music teams that did all the music. Like, anything I could ingest about that, I ingested it so I could understand better what it was that I wanted to do, because somebody else has done something like this before me. And if it
Hmm.
was successful, which Motown was extremely successful, there'll never be another thing like it ever in this lifetime. I needed to know about that. And that's always my reminder. And what I did was I got to one of the roots of why Berry Gordy was so successful. Berry Gordy was a gambler. He was a bad gambler. He lost all the time. But he was a risk taker. He was a risk taker. And being a risk taker is what made Motown be what Motown, what it was. And he said, I asked her, Ronnie, I clicked on the box and it didn't work. So I asked the question for Kanoa in the question box. Let's see if I click this question box, I think it's gonna mess me up. I don't know. But yeah, but with so I understand you have to research and you have to understand your craft because you that makes you more than to me. It makes you more than just a singer. It makes you more than someone who just likes to put nice clothes on people. It makes you more than that.
And it's no longer an assumption. It's actually something that is fact or there's knowledge. Okay,
Yeah,
Rodney. Yeah, ask it. Hey, Courtney.
yeah. Because I if I click that box and this whole thing fall out, I would be so embarrassed. I would never do this again.
Oh, don't be.
But yeah, I like now I've started a small community, and this is the first time I've talked about this publicly, which is a small group, so that's fine. I actually started a community of now I have 6 people that I mentor personally. And they're all artists. They're all artists with different things going on, but they have trusted me to advise them to their next because I don't expect them to stay with me the whole time. I really want them to move from where they are to where they want to go next. If I'm around in that part, then that's fine. But I started that community, and it's been a learning curve for me because I'm still learning how to be a mentor, to keep the boundaries where they belong, to keep the balance where it belongs, not to have favoritism for one over the other, to kind of see people where they are. And I also allow them to come together in community so that they can help each other, because like one person he does a lot of theater work out in California, and there's someone here who's new, not really new to theater, but would like to work more in the theater world. They can converse and talk about that, kind of thing. So let me go to Ronnie's question. Walk us through the process you take after you book a client, campaign, TV shows, blah blah blah. Okay, we're gonna learn from. I'm gonna learn from your process today.
Okay. Rodney.
He said, do you use the same formula or different depending on the project?
It definitely is based on the project. Typically,
I got you, Jahari. Go ahead. Okay.
I don't book a client until after we've gone through all the preliminaries. And I will say this, every person that's coming to you to inquire and or petitioning your help is not a good match. And I make that determination through consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Through my consultation, I do go through a series of questions, and they differ. I compose those questions based on the person, based on, excuse me, based on the need that they're requesting. Typically what happens, and I'll just give an overall, typically what happens is I do consult with the individual. They are allotted 1 hour of my time to actually consult. If it is for television, and I really don't do any of that. So let me just go tackle that. I don't do television. I don't at all do television and film.
But you have done print work.
I have. I have done television and film. It is not my niche. So I stay out of that lane. My level of expertise is in portfolio building. I work with different agencies and their models to build their portfolios. And I have done work for publication within magazines. It definitely does change. The formula does change, but the foundation is the same. The one particular thing is the consultation where we exchange in conversation. And I don't like necessarily I don't use a whole sheet of questions. I typically go between 3 to 5 questions and allow it to be a conversation. So then I can extract their personality, their profession, and what it is that they're actually trying to accomplish.
This is a good question. Is that a consultation fee or complimentary consultation? I had my own ideas about that, but you can answer for you.
Typically, it is a consultation fee, absolutely, because what people don't think about or consider, the stylist works before they actually get to that person.
Yes, 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 yes.
And it is a case by case situation. There are times where I have actually waived consultation fees.
Hmm.
But to go back to your first question, so typically, yes, I do follow this same formula in most cases, but again, it's based on the case. Um, what you learn from that conversation will determine what happens next. So I don't really have like, oh, this happens first, then this, then that, because based on the person, based on the need, it will change. It'll alter the formula.
Right. Yeah, when I do consultations for my vocal performance students, it kind of depends on if I can talk to them within the first few minutes, or if somebody refers somebody to me and they bring me all the information, then I don't necessarily do a consultation. But what I've learned about consultations is that a good one you can walk away from with information that can serve you, even if you don't hire the person, or if,
Mm-hmm.
you don't take the client on. So I wouldn't even frown at a paid consultation, because first of all, I would have researched or vetted the person that I'm having this consultation with. If I was seeking a consultation, I would vet them first to see if it was even worth me sitting down, with them, to see if they had something that that I could use. And if they said there was a fee, I'm going to walk away with something. Now, I have had bad consultations. One, last year, I paid this person to advise me on how to move my business forward, and they basically just let me talk for myself.
Hmm.
I was mad I spent that money. I really was. Because in the social media world, they give so much. I'm like, okay, so if this is how you give, and you're aware of me, I'm aware of you, then I'm expecting. I had my note, pen and paper, everything. I wrote down nothing because they gave me nothing.
Wow.
So paid consultations, uh,
And I didn't always, let me be honest with you all. I did not always charge for consultation. When
mhm,
I first started out, every consultation was free. It wasn't until I became established, once I began getting publication, at
mhm.
that point, that's when I began to charge for consultation, because at that point, I had something to back me. I now, at that point, was accredited. I
Right.
had the experience. I had
So
the
my
exposure.
countdown is telling me we had 2 minutes left. This is weird. We got to do this again.
It's okay.
But yeah, Ronnie, I did learn, and that person will never get me again. It'll be a textbook. Hey, can I ask you a question? It won't be no money exchange hands. But what I do with my consultations, if I decided to pay situations, the ones that I give, I make sure that I'm prepared to give that person something. Like I was referred a student from Atlanta, and the person told me what she needed. Well, when I got with her, I said, "Tell me what you think you need." And when she told me it was something completely different that was kind of out of my scope, immediately I texted one of my resources, brought her into the virtual setting, and passed that client on to her.
Mhm.
Because that would best serve her. The person who referred her was gracious, and they still paid me anyway. So I was, thankful for that. But let me go back real quick, Jahari, and answer your question. I have just started working with people who are into secular music. Actually, it's a space that I really feel like I need to be in. I need to be there. I love the gospels of the Christ, but y'all can have it. I'm ready to do something different. I'll keep
But
singing his praises.
it's important. This is what I just shared with a friend on yesterday who
We got
actually has a
22
senior hand.
seconds. Oh, God, hurry up.
Don't think small. Stay out of the creek. Jump in the ocean. Think bigger. Think broader. Go beyond your present moment. Jump into your future. and bring it to now. Don't think
As a matter
small.
of fact, we're
Don't.
not gonna stop talking. We're gonna come back.
Okay.
Everybody stay with us. We coming right back.